Hi guys. Today we're gonna try to finish up the Brian Molese murder story because I hate that story. That's why I'm in the backyard today. Beautiful day today on the West Coast, and I thought that might help me get through this story because I don't like it. But this is a good part of the story. This is like the poetic part of this story. So. For all of you that don't know who Joseph Mad Dog Sullivan is, he's been, I don't know how many murders he got convicted to, but he was linked to as many as 20 murders, and was the only man ever to escape from New York's infamous Attica prison. So this guy's got some serious credentials, as well as being one of the Westies. And you can Google him, Joseph Mad Dog Sullivan. I know it might sound like a made-up name, but it's not. And so we're going to get to like the part of this horrific story that I really enjoyed. And I probably shouldn't say enjoyed, but I enjoyed this. Sorry, it's a sin. Sorry. So after the murders took place, the police immediately told the insurance company not to pay out the insurance policy to him because he was their one and only suspect. And that's what the insurance company did. They did not pay. Now, Brian Molese was the executor of Harold and Marcia, and of course he was the beneficiary of his wife, Alice. He had all three of them insured, life insurance policies. And I went through that with on the last vlog or the one before that. But anyway, he tricked the woman into making him the executor of Harold's estate should anything happen to Marcia. And if anything, of course, would happen to Marcia and Harold and Alice, it was a $100,000 insurance policy with a clause that tripled the payout if they got killed in public transportation or in homicide, and which is exactly what happened some 4 months after the policy was written. So in the beginning, Brian Molese hired Joseph Mad Dog Sullivan to murder his wife and his wife's friend, Marcia. He made no mention to him about the 5-year-old little boy. So Mad Dog takes the contract, drives out to Jersey, pulls up to the door, ready to murder the both of them. And he sees a little kid's Hot Wheels in the driveway. And he just put the brakes on. Because as bad as this guy was, and he was a bad guy, but this guy had scruples. This guy was a real man. I mean, he was a man's man. And he immediately turned around, went back to Greenwich Village, New York, and confronted Molese with this kid. What's with this bicycle in there? What's going on with this kid's Hot Wheels? And so he said, "Oh yeah, that's the Marcia's son. Yeah, whack him too. He's not going to give you no trouble." Huh. So Mad Dog slapped the shit out of him, as we say in New York, slapped the taste out of his mouth a couple of times, roughed him up, and said, "I don't kill kids." And at the time, Joseph Mad Dog Sullivan, this was 1978, some 6 months before the actual or 4 months before the actual murders took place. He said, "Now, mother effer, now you still owe me the money. I'm not whacking no kid." And Mad Dog Sullivan at the time had a son that was around the same age. This is, you know, I just hate this story. I just can't wait to tell the story so that I can move on to some other cool stuff. So he slaps him around, and the hit was $75,000 for each one. So he said, "Now you owe me $150,000." Well, the police told the insurance company, "Don't pay this guy because we think that he's the murderer." So the insurance company didn't pay. 1, 2, 3 years go by. Molese is still free, never charged with the crime. And Mad Dog's starting to think, Mad Dog's getting mad. And he's starting to think Molese got paid and he wants his money. Now, at this time, I think it was 1982 or 1981, Mad Dog there was a manhunt out for Mad Dog. He was like one of the 10 most wanted fugitives in America at that time, and he needed the money. And so he's thinking if he didn't get arrested, the insurance company must have paid, but that wasn't the case. So one day he goes to his Greenwich Village apartment, which was on 10th Street, East 10th Street in the Village. And he goes up there. He's with his wife. His car's downstairs. And now he wants his money. He knocks on Brian Molese's apartment door. Brian Molese was a gay guy. And his lover opened up the door. And he grabbed him. And he rammed a .22, a semi-automatic handgun in his mouth. The handgun had a homemade silencer attached to it. He rammed it in his mouth, pulled the trigger once, twice, 3 times, left the guy for dead. Now, Molese sees that, and I can only imagine what was going through his mind at that time. And this is the poetic justice part right here. Hang on, it's coming. It's coming. I probably shouldn't say that, but it's coming now. It's coming. And of course, he grabs him. Where's my effing money? And he's slapping him around. And his wife actually went with him. And of course, Molese don't have no money. And he already let 3 rounds go. It's a matter of minutes now before the police show up. This is what he's thinking. And he takes him by the neck. And he rams. I think it had like a 9-inch silencer attached to the barrel of the gun. Now, for you people that don't know anything about firearms or silencers, which I really didn't know that much, they're made of a tube with a bunch of washers in them. And he grabs him. He gives him the same treatment he gave his lover. And then bang, 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 3 times in the roof of his mouth. Broke all his teeth out. And this is where the bad part comes. On both shootings, as the 6 bullets exited the silencer, they fragmented. They were hitting the ends of the washers, or however that happened. And it was, and both of them survived. I mean, can you imagine being at the end, having Mad Dog Sullivan got you by the throat, a gun is in your mouth, and you hear the bullets going off? Well, he was rushed to St. Vincent Hospital in Manhattan, where he recovered. Both of them recovered. And that was that story. So now we'll talk about, I think it was 1983, the arrest. So the arrest, he gets arrested. I testified before a grand jury. He's indicted for triple murder, and he's about to stand trial. And at this point, I don't think he knew I was involved at this point. So during the trial, I was supposed to testify the second half of the first day of the trial. My wife at the time, Elizabeth Escher at the time, was they put her on the stand first, and they thought her testimony would only take a half hour, so I would go on the second half of the day and lay out the bombs that were about to drop on this guy. So as I'm in and they had no place to park me except the prosecutor's office, Dennis Callow. So I was actually in his office, and I said, before you guys go, I want to see all the photographs, the homicide photographs. And I've asked for them several times during the 3 or 4 years the investigation was going on, and they wouldn't give them to me. So I wanted to get pumped up like a fighter before a fight. I wanted to be pumped up and charged. And so he didn't want to do it. And eventually he caved in, and he let me have the photographs. So while Beth was testifying, and by the way, she did a great job, I was looking at the horrific photographs, as you can imagine. The blood, the walls, the floor, the ceilings, the cabinets, everything was coated in blood. It looked like bodies exploded in the dining room, kitchen, and living room. It was just a horrific scene. And then I saw boxes. I saw 3 boxes and it said New Jersey State Police. And I walked over to the boxes, and I opened them up, and the first thing that I pulled out was Harold's little striped T-shirt covered in blood. So much blood that it was actually like starch. And I pulled up his underwear and clothing, and the other box contained each. There was 3 boxes that contained each one of the 3 victims' clothing at the time. And so I'm really getting pumped up now. Now, although I've testified in many, many grand juries, most of the people, the 300 people that I've arrested, they all copped out, except for the murders. Of course, there is no cop out on a case like this. So this was my first trial that I was going. So I wanted to be plenty pumped up about it. And so I was. And what happened was my wife's testimony ran into the whole day. And so the next day I come back. And now I want to kick ass. So I come in. Now the judge that was overseeing this trial was Bergen County, New Jersey's top judge. In fact, he ran for governor of the state of New Jersey. So he was like a big shot, no nonsense. I think he was Italian. No nonsense guy until he met me. And then he just threw the nonsense card out and let me get away with bloody murder. So I'm sitting in the witness chair. Brian Molese's attorney's a little bit to my right. It's a high desk, really high. The judge is up there, and I can barely see Brian Molese to my right. So, of course, the prosecutor starts, and he goes, okay, do you see the defendant in court, Brian Molese? And I said, yes. Well, can you point him out and tell me what he's wearing? So that's exactly what I did. So I had to get up a little bit, and I pointed to him, and I said, and this is like the second day of the trial, and I said, that's the baby killer there in a black suit, brown tie. And then when I pulled my hand back, I turned it into a fucking gun. And the lawyer, mistrial, he just did that. He called him a baby killer, mistrial. He was trying to get the mistrial, and he was screaming, and the judge is up there, and I said, what? But the judge couldn't see this, neither could the 14 jurors that were to my left. I don't think they saw the gun thing. I don't know if you see that. I turned my finger into a gun, and I went, that's the baby killer right there. So that was the first objection and verbal motion for mistrial. And, of course, the judge overruled it and says, told the jury. He told these people, strike that, don't pay no attention to it. But they heard it. The damage is done. So he could say, strike that, don't listen to that. But I kept doing it. So then I got to the point where this lawyer was really pissing me off. And he started asking me questions. And it got to the point where I would lean in, I would sit on the edge of my chair, leaning in to the question. And then I did this move. I turned and I went from top to bottom, like this, like a C, backward C. And I started explaining, talking to the jury and making eye contact with every one of them while he was over there. And of course, he didn't like that. Then he stopped his questionings and he started forming the questions in yes or no answers. And he says, yes or no only. I turned to the jury and I said, yes, but, and he was screaming. I just kept talking. He's yelling to the judge. So this went on. So then the judge says, disregard that. Strike that from the record. Disregard it. Strike it from the record. And I'm like, too late, pal. They heard it. I don't care. They heard it. So 3 times the judge said, if you do that again, I am going to hold you in contempt. And actually, I did it the 4th time. And this is the first part of the afternoon of the trial. I testified for 2 full days. And so then I got to the point where the lawyer didn't like me talking to the jury, so he walked around and he started blocking me. He asked me the question, yes or no, and he started blocking me. So I started moving around. Judge didn't like that, called him. So anyway, So this went on for a while. The judge did not hold me in contempt, and Brian Molese was convicted. Okay, so now you would think it's over. He gets convicted, and ultimately he gets sentenced to 30 to life sentences. You would think the story was over there, but it's not. And the most outrageous part of this story has to do with Maher, the father of Maher, and the grandson of Maher, the grandfather. I mean, this is a story that needs to be told, but I don't think I have it in me to go any further with this thing. This Molese case really, I don't like it, but I have to tell this story. This is the most incredible part of the whole story. When you think of the Casper the Friendly Ghost aspect, but what the father did and the grandfather, the father of Maher and the grandfather of Harold, what he did will blow your mind. And just stay tuned for the next vlog. And I thank you guys so much for viewing this new channel. And until the next time, peace out.